all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, it's really important to understand how this works and what the mechanism is. So saying it wouldn't work on me is true because you are literally hypnotizing yourself. Your thoughts are creating your reality.
Yeah.
So if you say, Max, you can't hypnotize me, guess what? You are correct because you hold a belief in your mind that is creating your reality. If you say, you know what, maybe I'm open-minded, maybe I'd like to see, maybe it's something I don't understand, maybe I'd like to explore my mind, I'm open-minded, that's a different scenario, right? So if you believe you can't, of course you can't. But one of the things you can do, it's not impossible to hypnotize someone who says,
sure,
you can't hypnotize me. When you're confronted with the ego, you can either play to the ego or you can kind of like attack it, you know, push up against it. So you could say something like, what, are you scared? You know, oh, no, I'm not scared, right? Or you could say something like, you know, for most people, you know, they think that in order to be hypnotized, you have to be really dumb, but it's actually the opposite. That's true. It's you have to be really smart. So the only reason you couldn't be hypnotized is if you're a dummy, and you're not a dummy, are you?
Yeah.
Right. And immediately, oh, no, I'm not stupid, of course. So you'd probably be really good at it.
Yeah.
So now I'm playing to the ego, right? I'm telling them you'd probably be really good at it. Yeah, I would be good at it. Yeah, you know what? I'm not a dummy. I'd like to try. I'm not afraid. So you can combat that. It's not impossible, but it does point out the fact that our thoughts create our reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed, so if you guys watch when you go to the AMP house or when you're talking to Kai Cenat, one thing I noticed, besides the tricks, obviously I can't figure out what you're doing, but the thing was that they acted like they'd known you forever after about 10 minutes in the thing. Like they were very comfortable with you guys touching each other and bumping into each other, and they were screaming. And it was one of these things where it was like you had such frame control.
Yeah, it's not my show, and there's 200,000, 250,000 people watching live.
Yeah.
But somehow I'm in control of that broadcast, and that's intentional.
And they didn't know. But my point is, because I have this question all the time, because I teach a networking course.
They didn't know anything about me. They didn't even know what I did. They'd never even seen a video clip of me on the internet. Literally, like his manager suggested that I would be good for it. And he was open-minded and trusted him and said, sure, bring him in. And in their head, they thought, oh, it's just some magician coming in.
Yeah.
And they didn't know I had a whole journey I was going to take them on. But that's also a credit to them as streamers, because I think like the best streamers in the world are really present. And like they don't have a filter at all. And so their ability to be comfortable and treat me like a best friend when I walk into their world is also a credit to Kai Cenat being one of the best streamers in the world. Because if you watch him go out on the street and stream, they'd call it IRL streaming, where they have the camera wirelessly on the street. Everyone he meets on the street instantly becomes his best friend. And that's a credit to him. And that's his confidence, rapport, and trust. That's his ability to build rapport with a stranger, to treat them like an equal, for them to feel his positive intent coming through. Because that guy just oozes fun and positivity and childhood wonder and all that kind of stuff, joy. So credit to them as well. That's why they're the best streamers currently, is because they just are themselves 24/7, whether the camera is on or off, and they treat everyone that comes into that house as a friend, as an invited guest, as welcome. Although I will say, I've now been on with Kai 3 times, and the energy is shifting. Like each time I come now, they are becoming more and more challenging.
Yeah, of course.
Towards me.
That would seem like that, yeah.
It was unexpected to me because the first time I went in there...
Well, consider this, though. In response, the last 2 ones, you are showing absolute and complete dominance over people.
It's escalating.
Exactly. But like in order for them to garner back status, because regardless of how much money we make, I know some people like make fun of themselves or whatever. Homo sapiens are always looking for higher status and higher sexual selection. And in this
I don't want to be fooled.
Yeah, in this case, because it's not that they don't like you, but you've shown total dominance over them over the first 2 times. So I can see how that would happen.
Yeah, and the most recent one too, they had a ton of huge streamers and YouTubers from the UK and the US, and so it was like 20 people in the room, and the energy was very much like, we're gonna get him. Yeah. And not in a mean-spirited way. It was just like, I'm gonna catch it this time. But I think that's what makes, for me, live streaming so fun and interesting, is because in every other instance of performing magic throughout history, like on video, it's been recorded and edited. And the thing about Twitch is it's live. So whatever happens, happens. Whatever choice somebody makes, if they choose to turn over that card and look at it too early, that's forever. That lives on the internet, right? And so there's no net. There's no way to know ahead of time how it's going to go. It's also not like this, where the cameras are in these specific places. The cameras are moving around. There's people filming from all angles. It's a really challenging environment to perform in, but also I think it's what makes it so fun. And so if you do choose to go and watch one of those performances of mine, I think it's really unique in that it's the closest experience you could possibly have to seeing me perform live. It's as if you were in there with the room with us.
So
Yeah.
when you watch comedians,
Yeah.
they'll have a notepad. I've actually seen comedians that go up on stage,
Yeah,
they'll have
like
a
a set
notepad,
list.
and they'll work on jokes that they
Yeah.
don't think are that funny. And so what'll happen is you'll see a lot of big comedians. They'll take everyone's phone and they'll just like bomb, and they know there's like, okay, this one doesn't work, this one doesn't work, because they have to try some new stuff.
Yeah.
In your situation, I feel like that could be risky because there has to be a point.
Comedy is similar in a way. You're just making me think of something
Yeah.
I've never thought of before. Comedy's similar in a way to like mentalism because you can write something and you don't know if it's going to work until you try it on the audience. Where like a magic trick, you can practice in isolation. Like you can practice the sleight of hand, shuffling the cards, making the thing disappear. You can do it in the mirror. You can watch it in the camera, and you can know before you ever show it to another Homo sapien, to
Yeah.
use your term, you can know it's going to work.
Yeah.
Where with like comedy, even if you've been telling jokes for 20 years, you might think something's going to be funny and then it just completely flops. And I think mentalism is the same thing in that I can't practice it alone. You can't learn hypnosis in your bedroom.
Yeah, that's my point,
You have
yeah.
to go out and try it on strangers, which makes it really difficult to learn, but also really fun and exciting. So I think where you were getting was like, do I do new material? How do I test new material?
Yeah.
You kind of have to try it on people. And so that's why I live here in Las Vegas, is because I think it's the world's largest like lab. It's like a human petri dish.
So what
you
I'm
know?
saying is, are there hard drives full of stuff where you screwed up, like trying some of these?
Well, usually I'll
tricks at
try it
first?
like not on camera for the first time.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll do it on the street. We might record it as a test, and if it doesn't work, figure out why. If it's not interesting, because sometimes something's just not interesting. You like think it's interesting and it works, but it's like just not interesting. That's kind of like the joke that's just not funny, but technically it's works on paper. And then also it's just like if it doesn't work, it's figuring out why it didn't. So we might go back and look at the footage or talk about it, or think about, well, how could I approach that differently? Or if they weren't hypnotized, why? And what did I do that maybe broke the trance, or what happened? What didn't I see? And so I do live streams about once a month where it's basically all experimental. We go out on the street with a backpack and I just try
Do things
new
ever
stuff.
go bad on the live streams?
Well, I wouldn't say they go bad because it's all the process. It's all part of the process. It's not like you pick a card and then you like see me palming it and the magician's busted. It's more just like
What I mean is
my
like
influence doesn't work.
when
or-
you're pounding your hand on those bags with one of them has a nail
when I
in
do
it.
something really dangerous, I try to think through all the outcomes.
Yeah.
But you can't always know. And then there are times when like I will try something for the first time on a live stream that I've never done before, because it can kind of only work in that scenario. And in that case, like AGT is a great example. That performance I did, I don't know how many people watch America's Got Talent when it's live, it's like 12 million people or something, or 10 million. I don't know what the numbers are. But millions of people are watching that live. I can't have practiced that.
Of course.
That was a very strange season. It was where everyone was home for the government shutdown, and they were watching from they zoomed the audience in, so there was no studio audience. I don't have a way to test if I can influence 200 people over Zoom, without doing it on the show. And so I had to do it we rehearsed where I'd be standing and what I'd be saying and where the camera would be looking and all of that. But I can't know the outcome ahead of time. But that's part of what makes it exciting to be a live performer, is taking risks and knowing when the risk is worth it and what's going to happen. If it doesn't work, I'll be off the show. But if it works, it's going to be pretty cool.